Sorry, it's just I just noticed they're still going around. They've been going around for ages, and the only reason I noticed the same people that came in about 20 minutes ago is because you're now carrying the pug. Sorry, I'm talking about finding the space on this campsite. Oh, and there's the bin man to create a bit of noise.
Yes guys, welcome back to the 100-day project. I thought we would just talk a little bit, given the fact that we have just passed a pretty significant milestone in terms of not having a home.
Stop saying that.
Never gets old. Yes, we have now been on the road for just over a year, in fact, at the time of recording. To say that year has gone in quickly is a bit of an understatement, I'd say.
It has, it has actually, but I'm just calming down my panic, the fact that you've just said without a home. Because I actually woke up this morning and for the first time, I think maybe on this trip, I was actually quite homesick.
Homesick for the home she doesn't have. For those of you who've been following the channel for a while know that this wasn't a snap decision, and we had been travelling in the van sort of extended periods for sort of the previous couple of years. I think we probably decided that we were going to go full-time about 6 months previous. I think it's whenever we were doing the west coast of Ireland. We'd obviously done a couple of 3-month trips in Spain and in France.
There's the pug.
And I would say that up until probably the turn of the year, you were in denial that we were actually going to be doing it.
Oh, what, last year?
Yeah.
Not this year, where I'm still in denial. Yeah, completely. I just was refusing to pack, even though the house sale was at that point going through. Yeah, I left it to the last 2 weeks, I think, to actually pack the stuff up. Yeah. Which, can I tell anybody who's doing this, don't do that, because what happened is that all my clothes got put into the storage unit first because they were last to go in the van, so they were first out, and now I can't get to anything. So plan properly.
Good plan, Nigel. Yeah, Nicola kind of alluded to it. We didn't really have the smoothest of starts either. We had just left Portrush, cleaned the flat out, everything was done and dusted, and we were driving down to my parents' house when our buyers of the flat, and by the way, Nicola's looking at the pug again about you.
The other way.
Yeah, so our flat sale fell through the day that we were going down to mum and dad's, so that was a bit stressful, because of course we were using a little bit of money from the house sale to kind of fund the initial part of the trip. All worked out in the end. We did manage to sell it pretty quickly again, but that was pretty stressful. So we obviously spent the first bit of last year in Spain and Portugal, and the reason for doing that was we wanted to ease ourselves in, and we also wanted to give us a natural break point. Even though we had sold up, we still weren't 100% sure whether it was going to be for us or not. We didn't particularly like the flat we were in, so selling the flat wasn't exactly a hardship. So giving us those couple of months in Spain and Portugal, which were lovely, we got unseasonably sort of really lovely weather the whole way through. But it was a good job that we were coming back to Ireland again in May, because obviously 2 weeks into the trip, the van
rolled down the hill backwards.
Rolled down a hill
without
backwards.
us in it.
Yeah, that was stressful as well.
And that was the first point where I realised that was our home, and we couldn't get the doors open or shut in the back, and that was, yeah, it was really stressful actually.
It was stressful.
Yeah.
And yeah, Spain and Portugal was lovely. It was lovely to see some of the little villages, but we treated it a bit too much like a holiday, which, you know, I'm sure it takes a while to sort of settle into the whole full time on the road side of things. But we had a good time. It was also very nice to go back and see people in the van for a couple of weeks. We had a couple of weeks in Ireland and we had a couple of weeks in England, and again with some really lovely weather. In Ireland it was the big Northwest 200 motorbike race, and we all just stay with our friends Jill and Mervyn, do a park run, see my mum and dad, see other friends and things. Obviously get the van fixed, and while the van was in getting fixed we were properly couch surfing, so we stayed with our friends Tanya and Ryan. Hello if you're watching, by the way. Tanya, you could do this, no problem whatsoever. Yeah, just hook a trailer on the back for all the shoes.
I was about to say she'd never fit all the shoes in. Yeah. No offence, Tanya.
So it was nice out there. And then in Cambridge, again, we just so happened to be there when the Cambridge Beer Festival on.
Funny that.
But it was a nice way to bring all of our friends together in one sort of sitting, so to speak, and a nice time there, a nice time with your mum and your brothers and stuff. And then it was off to do something different, and that was heading over to Norway.
I think we were a bit more apprehensive about that because we didn't know what it'd be like with regards to parking. We knew it'd be expensive. We didn't know how much English they spoke over there, and as we've discovered, our uptake of languages is not the best.
Yeah. And to be honest, Nicola said, you know, we knew it was going to be expensive. I still remember that first day wandering around Mandel, and we went into the supermarket, and until you actually see the prices firsthand, you then go, geez, this is going to be expensive.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember from our other vlogs, if you happen to seen them.
I'll link up somewhere.
They're like a good loaf of bread. I mean, you could buy a cheap one for equivalent of £1 something, but don't do it. Even the ducks wouldn't want to eat it.
Don't do it, kids.
Don't do it. So you're paying £4 for a loaf of bread, and tomatoes. That I always talk about the tomatoes when I talk about Norway. It's £1 per tomato. I'm so like excited about it. I'm freaked out about it. Yeah. So if you like your tomatoes, take a lot of money.
Yeah. We have to say that so far, and it probably came out in our vlogs, Norway was by far our favourite time in the last year travelling in the van.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
And from the beauty of it point of view, we've done a couple of round the world trips, done quite a bit of Asia and lots and lots of Europe. And we've come across beautiful places in all those times as well. But Norway, hands down, literally, you turn around every corner and there was something beautiful.
A day simply driving, I'll link a couple of little driving vlogs that I put together. Even a day driving between two locations there was no hardship involved because the roads were well maintained, the scenery was incredible, and you know, the
facilities immaculate. Even the drop toilets were clean and had toilet roll every time. The people were so friendly and did speak English. Now, we did stick mostly to the west coast, so we don't know what the inner cities were like, but hands down the most stunning country I think I've ever been to.
Yeah. We'd started to get a little bit jaded with the whole not being able to go out and grab a coffee or grab a beer by the end of the 12 weeks, but do not let the cost of Norway put you off going there.
If you can find a 7-Eleven, they do a coffee and the biggest cinnamon bun you will ever find for a reasonable price. I can't remember how much, but it was basically UK price. So.
And I think with Norway's kind of right to roam policy, there wasn't the same sort of concept of hours, but you didn't need them because you could really park up anywhere, and some of the most incredible park ups we had. And then you were very close to either most garages would have emptying facilities and refill facilities. So the concept of hours isn't really a thing, but I mean, the amount of wild places that you can just park up, be there for a couple of days without anyone hassle whatsoever was incredible. And even to the point where in those locations it seemed to be okay to even get your table and chairs out within reason. Norway still has to be trumped in terms of all of the other countries that we've been to in the van in the last year. Stunning. And then from Norway, as you've already seen, we travelled through Sweden and Finland, which again deserve their own probably 12 weeks in their own right. We only had a week or so in Abisko, and then a couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so in Finland. Definitely places to go back to. I think grabbing the sweet spot in Finland would be challenging. I think obviously if you go during the summer months, you're going to get the more settled weather, you're going to get the longer evenings, you're going to get the barking dogs.
And the midges that I've just seen flying around here.
But you're going to get massive amount of midges and clegs and
horsefly thingies.
Horsefly thingies. We obviously were there in sort of September time frame, and all of those were pretty much gone, but it did mean in the evening time that things were starting to get cooler. So Finland, I think, would be a phenomenal place to visit in the summer in terms of the daylight and the nature, but I think it would be a little bit challenging from a creepy crawly perspective.
Just quickly on Finland, whatever time of year you go there, if you do go and you happen to be near Rovaniemi, you've got to go and see Santa. We went on a sunny day, it was about 18 degrees, there was nobody there but us, and it was still magical.
Probably one of your highlights of the trip.
Definitely. And the reindeer just roaming everywhere in northern Finland is incredible.
Listen for their little clicky hoots.
Yeah.
And again, 3 countries that really probably deserve a little bit more time, and that's Estonia, Latvia, especially Estonia and Latvia, and Lithuania. Again, from an ease of parking up perspective, really, really nice. we'd started to get a little bit more.
Do you know what? This whole road is usually completely quiet, and for this whole time, this thing's going up and down here.
That was somebody rolling their poo away. Yeah, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. Again, they have these forest parks that you can go and park up in. Again, with really clean drop toilets, really good facilities, chopped wood. I can see the people with the pug, by the way.
Oh, they're still going round.
Really, really loved their time in those 3 countries. And again, I think they would be places to go and revisit again in the autumn time frame. Estonia and Latvia especially just looked beautiful.
The Estonian coastline on the northern coast was really actually quite surprising. It was really lovely. One thing to just bear in mind, it's not as cheap there now as you would expect it to be. Slightly cheaper than the UK, but not massively. So don't expect it to be like it was in the olden days.
That brought us back via Poland, back into the UK. Now, we went back to the UK, we now agree, way too early. We went back primarily to run the half marathon with our friends, and it was a fantastic weekend, really good weekend. But once that was over, we then realised that we still had, we obviously had an MOT booked for the end of November.
Then we were going to do Christmas with my mum and brothers. So we had about 8 weeks where we just did, well, 6 weeks before Christmas, where we didn't actually have much planned.
Yeah, and it was quite challenging to be, we didn't want to kind of just go off and travel around Ireland again. We also didn't want to sort of put other people out because of course they were working and doing other bits and pieces. So we definitely went back to the UK for way too long. Soon got Christmas out of the way, got a few bits and pieces sorted in the van that needed sorted, kind of. And back on the road and back down into Spain and Portugal, which is where we're actually recording this particular video from. It's been a challenging...
It's been up and down. I think we've both talked about our mental health issues and anxiety and things. And I think we thought a year in we would be further along in being, not fixed, I'm not sure you ever fix these things, but probably in a better place. And we're not, actually. If anything, I think, are we worse? Well, probably about the same. But we were getting much better in Norway when we were doing lots of hiking, lots of outdoors stuff.
Yeah, we've once again, now we've come across to Portugal as just a little snippet because we're obviously heading back across the border again to redo another house sit again.
And there was another reason. Hang on a sec. Not only did I want their chicken, I had to find some more of this. And I actually found the make I wanted. Yeah. In fact, I'm probably going to go and get another one so I've got stock of it. We don't know when we'll be back.
Last year though. So.
It did, but it was a bigger bottle last time. So, yeah. So living the dream, if you're thinking about living full-time in a van, it isn't living the dream. It can be, I guess, if you've got lots of money, you're doing all exciting things all the time and you can stay in the best places. Maybe, yes. But it's reality, it's real life. You still have the same issues. You have different issues. You still have your mental health issues. You still have to work, most of you. I guess your issues are more practical, as in finding somewhere to sleep, finding somewhere to empty your loo. Do it, still do it. You know, it's hard. It's not living the dream, but I don't think it's a bad thing to do. I think you've got to try it. Might not be for you, but if you tried it and it's not for you, then what have you lost? You've had an experience. I
think you basically bring, it's going to sound stupid, but you bring yourself on the trip. And so with yourself is all the baggage that comes with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why sometimes holidays, you can just almost put it all to one side and forget about everything back at home and people go crazy and whatever. When you're doing this full time, you realise that, you know, normal life comes with you as well. Yeah. I definitely think that us doing a little bit more, or at least challenging ourselves a little bit more from the travel perspective, that might seem counterintuitive. You know, we're maybe having a few struggles here and there. Wouldn't you want to go to places that are easy? Well, maybe not. Maybe we want to be a bit more challenged. And of course, travel. We didn't just, I've been looking at our polar steps and we seem to be now following very similar dots to what we did last year as well. There's a whole big space on the map that has yet to be pinned. So,
and for me, I think if I'm challenging myself, I'm facing real fears. I call them real fears because I'm not saying that the other fears I have aren't real, but the other fears get built up in my head when I'm sitting stationary, not doing much. Whereas when I have practical things that I have to solve and I'm facing those real challenges, the other stuff gets a little bit like dampened down. So for me, that's a positive, I think. Scary. And as I said earlier, this morning I woke up really homesick, just missing somewhere that felt safe and secure, and missing my family, missing my friends. But that was also a sign to me that I need to get doing something a bit more challenging, because if I'm feeling like that, that could spiral worse and worse.
We're still muddling through.
But the positives, because obviously they're a bit sort of negative-y, we've been, like you said, to some fantastic new places. We've met some really lovely people. We've had some great days. I mean, for me, the Wild West Day was just superb. Still smile about that, really enjoyed it. We've met some great dogs, which we have with our dog sitting. And just by travelling around, you meet people's pets. And for us, we love dogs, so that's a really nice thing. And we've had some nice weather, you know.
No, it's... We do, and I'm always very cautious not to belittle the fact that we're very fortunate to be able to do this, to have jobs that allow us to sort of be on the road, Nicola's especially, to have passports that allow us to be on the road for extended periods of time, that we're not having to rush things in. If we want to take a week out of our schedule, it's no biggie. And also this is a choice for us, that if the brown stuff does hit the fan, we can go back to the UK, and yes, we don't have a home at the moment, but we do have friends and family, everyone's now locking their doors, where we could, you know, hunker down for a period of time. So that privilege is not lost on us, but it also hasn't exactly, you know, been, and I would say that a lot of the issues that we're facing have been brought on by ourselves, by not being a bit more motivated to kind of get out there and do something. We went to Norway and we just winged it, and it was incredible. It was incredible. A perfect, I always have this thing, a perfect day for me was almost ticked so many times in Norway, because a day in the mountains, a day out doing a massive big hike, just fantastic. And hopefully we'll get to do a few more of those as the year goes in. Somebody
actually just said to me yesterday, we were sitting watching some live music here, which was really good fun, although I had an awful hangover in the night. But apart from that, he said he would love to do what we're doing, but they're just too scared. And I actually said, I was terrified, absolutely terrified. And all the things I've been terrified all the way along with this have never been as bad when I've actually done them. And that's what I said to him. The thoughts in your head are far bigger than actually taking the action.
It's always the way.
And then what Nigel said, and if it doesn't work, turn around and come back.
Yeah.
You've done nothing wrong. You haven't failed. There's no failure in trying. In fact, is it Paddy that said that?
Paddy Doyle.
Paddy Doyle said that. And there isn't, because to give it a go is better than sitting there wondering what would have happened if you had, and then regretting that you didn't.
And that kind of is what is underpinning our potential future plans. So, and we'll talk about those in an upcoming video. Yeah. But we've rambled on long enough.
We have rambled.
We haven't seen the pug in the last 5 minutes as well.
I think they've decided on this spot.
I think the pug has found a nest. So maybe we'll go meet the pug. Right guys, well once again, thanks a lot for following along. And from the 100-day project, look at that, there you get a bonus wave.
You do.
See you guys tomorrow.